Assalamu alaikum guys. Today topic is really important about the logistic and management. So either our supplier will be shipping all of our goods to Amazon warehouse, or in case if the supplier is not providing this service, so we will need to hire FF freight forwarders. So let's discuss about the shipping Incoterms, international commercial terms. There are specific terms that are used in the international market between the sellers and buyers in case of logistics and management. So let's discuss about the Incoterms. The first one is X work. These three are the basic which we mainly use as Amazon seller, and we'll be discussing in detail later on. There are a lot of terms and we'll be discussing those as well. So keep watching the video till the end. So the first one is X works. The seller makes the goods available at its location, so the buyer can take over all the transportation costs and also bear the risk of bringing the goods to their final destination. You can just read out these definitions that I have written here in the slide. I will just define it in a short way. They're basically in X work, EXW, the supplier will make the goods in the factory and he will just put those goods there in the factory. Now further on, it's your duty to take those goods and load those on any carriage and then take it to the boat for shipping them to Amazon warehouse, and all of that responsibility is yours. Just the responsibility of supplier is to manufacture the goods, and this term is called EXW. So you and the supplier will not be telling each other that you will just make goods and then I will take those goods and I will ship them by my own. You will just say it that I want EXW, I want EX works, right? So the supplier will get to know that what you mean. You mean that he just is responsible to make the goods and put all of those goods in the factory, and you will take them. You will just hire any FF or any of your resource you will use and you will take those goods. So second is FOB, free on board. What is this? The seller must load the goods on board of the ship, right? It is the seller and supplier responsibility to load the goods on board of the ship, right? And from there on, it's the buyer responsibility to take the goods toward Amazon warehouse. So this is the second term, FOB, right? And the third is that delivery duty pay. In this case, in this term, the supplier and the seller is responsible for manufacturing those goods and then taking those goods from their warehouse to the Amazon warehouse and deal with all the custom charges and everything. You do not need to worry about any kind of charges and any kind of shipment. Everything is for everything the seller and supplier is responsible. So by air the shipment takes almost from 4 to 14 days, and by sea shipment it takes from 22 to 40 days. Let's discuss the shipping Incoterms in detail. So here we can see these are the Incoterms, and here are the tasks that need to be done. In the left of this chart you can see export packing, loading charges, delivery to port, and export duty, taxes, and custom clearance. Basically custom clearance is done that you are not shipping something illegal out from the country, and origin terminal charges, loading on carriage and carriage charges, insurance, destination terminals charges and delivery to destination, unloading at destination, import duty, taxes, and custom clearance. So these are basically the tasks and situations that comes while shipping any goods from one country to another country. So these terms define in a very short way all of these tasks, that who is responsible for completing the tasks, right? So in EXW we have discussed the seller, the supplier is only responsible for export packaging, right? He is just responsible for manufacturing the goods. All of the responsibility further on is buyer's responsibility, but the insurance there is insurance taken while shipping the goods on the ship, so that's negotiable between the seller and buyer. Else that buyer is responsible in FCA, free carriage place, right? So seller is responsible for export duty, taxes, and custom clearance. Till this stage seller and supplier is responsible. Further on buyer is responsible to take those goods, right? In next one, FAS, free alongside ship. So in this term the seller and supplier is responsible till this stage, origin terminal charges, and further on the buyer is responsible for taking those goods to the Amazon warehouse. FOB, free on board, we have discussed this. Loading on carriage. Till this stage, the seller is responsible. Further on, buyer is responsible. CFR, cost and freight. So seller is responsible till this stage of carriage charges, and further on, the buyer is responsible for these. In these cases, the insurance was negotiable, but in this term, CIF, cost, insurance and freight. So in this term, the seller is responsible for insurance, right? Till this stage, the seller is responsible. And CPT, carriage paid to place. So seller is responsible till the destination terminal charges, and the insurance is negotiable between the buyer and seller. CIP, carriage insurance paid to place. Seller is responsible for insurance as well till this stage of destination terminal charges. And DAP, delivered at place. So seller is responsible for delivery to destination. Okay, and further on, the buyer is responsible in unloading at destination and import duty, right? And DPU, delivered at place, unloaded. So seller is responsible till the unloading at destination. And in DDP, we have discussed already, the seller is responsible for doing everything unless our goods arrive at Amazon warehouse. One thing to remember, that we can do DDP with the supplier, and as well we can do DDP with the FF, right? We can hire the FF, the freight forwarders, and telling them that we want DDP, right? So the freight forwarder will be responsible the same as the supplier. Okay, so the freight forwarder will be responsible to take the goods from the supplier warehouse, and they will take and clear the custom charges and everything, and then ship those goods to the Amazon warehouse. And I will recommend to do, in case the supplier is really reliable and providing good rates, so you can choose the supplier for DDP. But in most of the cases, the supplier will be giving you a little bit high cost for giving this facility to you of DDP. So in such case, I will recommend that you can just tell the supplier to do X work, EXW, and then deal with the FF for DDP, right? So this is a good combination. Okay, EXW and DDP, EXW with the supplier and DDP with the FF.